2-0 up from the side of Reason. First game, well-rounded comp, good scaling. Game 2, let's just camp mid and see how far we go. And honestly, it was the right strategy coming into this one because they got pretty far ahead early game.
I mean, yeah, they got super far ahead, and Xayo, the jungler of Reason Gaming, just decided to put up the biggest tent I've seen in LCS, so, like in the expansion tournament so far. And they killed him like 3 or 4 times. He was 0-4 on Ahri, and he made like a couple of bad decisions because probably he didn't know what to do with like such a big deficit. That's the biggest problem of like inexperienced players. Once they fall behind, they don't tend to do like they forget like the most basic things, like how to position themselves in lane without flash. And yeah, it happens, but
how to buy a ward.
You gotta buy a ward, yeah. I mean, yeah, and then in the end they just threw the game completely at like the bottom thing, and then.
Yeah, let's actually take a look at the replay maybe to illustrate that. Let's get that up on the screen. Reason was pretty far ahead at this point. Fizz was pretty fed, and then they decide to group up on the bottom tower.
Well, no, this honestly looks like an instant replay of the first game when they had a lead and they were doing well. Selvar just, for some reason, he just doesn't care like what's in front of him, and he'll just like run straight at the team, and I don't know, you can play the replay, you'll see. But basically, the Fizz starts split pushing up to mid, and they see him on a ward. It's like, all right, they're split from the team, like now we can engage. And Selvar should be backing out here, but instead he's trying to auto-attack a Jax that has a stun on, and he just gets instantly popped. And now that your AD carry's gone and Fizz is into the team fight, you're just going to lose off that. Like, Fizz is going to come a little bit too late. He's going to just get exhausted and just get cleaned up off of this. And I think this is a really big turning point in the game. Even though they got that nice flank with the Maokai, and they ended up picking up the Baron, it didn't really matter because they ended up losing that team fight too.
They ended up not picking up the Baron, remember, because Giants came in as well. So actually, that was also kind of a turnaround situation from game 1 where the Giants gave up the Baron. Now they got it, and we got to talk about that Jax because he ran away with the game. They got into lane pretty even. No cheese, as we called it yesterday, but then he was able to get the advantage over Maokai and just push all the way in.
Yeah, I mean, he basically never used TP, so it was good and bad in the same thing because he was never there and his CP usage was bad, but at the same time he just pushed every single tower and got to the point where he can just one-on-one. And I think at the bottom tower, he was like, Fizz was engaging on him, and he just decided to take the tower from 1 to 0 and then got away with him while 3 people even collapsed on him. So at this point in the game, when Jax gets that far ahead, you actually have like a very big problem. And most of the time you can't deal with it because it's actually very advanced gameplay if you have a split push in the enemy team and you don't know what to do, you have to use teleport and just dive or 4-on-5 while the Jax is split pushing. And yeah, it's actually very hard to execute, but Maokai actually got it off, but it was not enough.
Giants did manage to pull this game out in the end. There should be some adaptations. Maybe this Thresh pick we saw was so big in game 1, and then here Rydell got placed onto Alistar with some questionable engages and maybe even communication. He was sometimes just flash in and pulverize and maybe bait the team in a little bit.
I mean, he had some actually really good engages where you got a lot of multi-man knockups, but he looked a lot less comfortable in Alistar. And I think that the Thresh is going to be a really big priority in the next game. They was first rotated in both games, so I wouldn't be surprised to see it first picked or banned.
Take Fun here stepping up on Fizz, even though they lost the game. I think that mid matchup is always as well going to be super important because honestly we haven't seen the Pepinero that we've seen in the stages before they came to the offline portion here of the expansion tournament. And well, he'll need to step up, but it's pretty hard when they're camping you so hard, but you can play a little bit careful.
It was good on Reason's part because they know that Xpepi is probably like the best player on the team, and then shutting down that star player of a team actually gives a lot of confidence. And if you know that the enemy star player is behind, you actually have like something to back it up. And I actually liked how they decided to just camp him in mid lane because, to be honest, Fizz is very weak in early game actually, but if you get that 1 kill, he can snowball completely out of control. And even if the Jax was fed, the Fizz can actually deal with him because Fizz is probably like the best AP scaling mid laner in the entire game. And the second he gets like 2, 3, 4 items, like every single item is such a huge power spike for him that it's very hard to deal with a Fizz who gets out of control. But yeah, I mean, we just saw.
Gives me better team fighting, to be honest. Like just better positioning out of their AD carry, and
the Corki actually walked up to the Jax. Like that was the biggest problem too in the bot lane fight, where Corki saw the Jax like using his E, the active, he just walked up to him and got stunned. And I was like,
well, he did the exact same thing in the first game.
Yeah, he did.
They were pushing in bottom. They just got the Baron. They're like, yeah, let's do it, boys. We're making the big play. And they just walked straight up and jousted him again and just died. So I don't know.
Yeah, Salver, definitely some aggressive things coming out. Not something we've used to seeing for him even that many times in the LCS last year, but definitely has to put in an adjustment there. How are you calling it for this Game 3? Giants won Game 1 even though they threw at Baron and they were able to pull it back, and now they pull back the game again. So
I'm gonna have to go Giants. I think they'll end up. I mean, you have to be on like mental tilt or something after both of those games. You had the lead in this game, and they ended up falling out and just losing the game. And even in the first game, they just picked up the Baron. They were making the nice plays, and then they ended up losing off that too. So if you just threw 2 games back to back, that can't be good. That can't be good for your team morale.
All right, well, we will see who can pick themselves back up. If it will be Giants who will close it out, or if it will be Reason coming back in the series. We'll be right back.